Hey, well, again, thanks for everybody joining on. Kind of listen to me talk a little special teams. Again, I'm
Yeah,
Tony
got
Coaxum.
another 20 install video.
I'm the special teams coordinator and DB coach at Northern Colorado. Kind of a little bit about myself. West Point grad. I was also a captain in the Army. I pride myself on the leadership abilities and being a great leader based on the things that I learned from West Point and people I've been around and in that environment and as a coach. I've been blessed to be around some very important people and really talented people when it comes to that. So there's kind of things that I pride myself on being a motivator, teacher, team builder. I'm a competitive person and blessed enough to win a Super Bowl with Denver Broncos uh, back in Super Bowl 50 as assistant special teams coordinator. Also during this COVID time, we had a lot going on and, I tried to make my time useful. I ended up writing a book on leadership. It's called Leadership Playbook. It's officially out November 1st, but the link's at the bottom there that if you think you're interested in getting an early copy of it, you can pre-order that copy and I'll get it sent out to you. And I'll also make sure I provide this link to Coach Bates later on to guys can share it and share it in the comment section and everything. Really what I want to focus on today is really my philosophy when it comes to special teams. Um, you know, the way I try to build my units and um, and just the different concepts that I go about when I'm trying to build the best special teams units that I possibly can be. I kind of live by the mantra. Again, I'm a military guy and call it tip of the spear. When we talk about the tip of the spear, that comes from the military, where we're the first in the fight. And as you all know, being special teams, every single game starts with a special teams play. And I always, whether it's the kickoff team or the kickoff return team, we want to set a tone right away. And also with that tip of the spear mantra, I kind of break it down into these different categories. That first T is talking about training. Um, we want to train on a lot of different levels, talking about being great in our practice environment, being efficient. As we all know, we have a little bit limited time, so we have to be very efficient when we do that. Meetings, same thing. I like to make sure that our guys understand exactly what I'm asking of them to do in the meetings, and so we can translate on the field, so we can go out and get work done, and be very effective. What we have to do. Also, pushing it down to the players, they got to have great study habits. Studying their materials that I provide to them, and on my end, I try to make sure I make it as player friendly and as simple as possible because they're going to have a lot of time trying to learn their offensive playbook and defensive playbook. And I try not to add any more complication the more they have to learn in so much, detail, not detail, but in so much substance. I try to make everything as simple as possible so they can just go out and play fast. And then on top of that, being fundamentals, I always strive. Everything I do, I teach from the very fundamentals at the beginning. When it comes to spring ball, I do very little full team reps outside of punt and field goal because I try to teach the components of every unit to get everybody on the same page, to understand the basic fundamentals of what I'm going to ask them to do, and that way I can put anybody in there and know that they've been taught how to do the fundamentals, and then the scheme part, again, keeping that simple enough that they can just go in. It's almost like a plug and play type deal. And then you see EBDs down there. That's evidence-based decisions. Again, I let the guys know everything you do is being evaluated, from those practice reps, from how you carry yourself in meetings, the way you prepare for the meetings and how you work your fundamentals. And even on the other side, when guys are on the scout team of a special teams unit, how hard are you working in those phases? I've had guys be on the scout team and work their tails off. And then the next thing you know, because I'm evaluating that stuff too, because I asked them to use our techniques when they're on the scout team to get those reps. And a guy stands out, I'm going to pull that guy up and put him on the other side because he's earned the chance to get those reps. Talking about one down, again, we have to be very efficient in what we do. We have one down to get our job done on special teams. We don't have a second and third down to get it right. So we got to be assignment sound, assignment perfect. I pride myself in having our guys being the most situationally aware special teams unit against any opponent that we go on, and I make sure I go against, and I make sure our players know every single rule and they understand all the rules involved in each phase. Tough. That makes sense. Football is a tough sport. Everyone, you can't play the sport and not be tough. But you got to be mentally tough, and we got to be conditioned properly in order to play this game the right way, and then being available and just taking care of your body so you're able to step on the field and be ready to play at any given time. And again, going back playing with speed, everything I want to do, I want our special teams unit to be playing fast and free. Again, that's why I try to make the schemes as simple as possible. And my key is anytime our opponents turn on the film on that Saturday, or excuse me, on that Sunday or that Monday or whenever they're watching our opponents, I want them to see a noticeable difference in speed on the tape, so they know, hey, if we don't play fast, then we're going to be in trouble today. And I kind of already talked about the definition of being tip of the spear. Again, kind of how I devise my teams. I always want to have our core special teams players. And again, what is a core player, and how many do you need? For me, a core player is, again, you got to have 11 guys on the field. That's the baseline. But I'm talking, when I say core players, I'm talking about a group of individuals that are that take pride at being on special teams. That's what they want to be on. They hold it almost in more regard than being on offense or defense. They're the special forces. Again, I use terms like that when I'm talking about my units. I call them special forces because that carries a level of pride. So we want to have a core group of guys that are going to be on all our special teams, that basically, for lack of a better term, they're carrying the flag for our special teams unit across our team. And then those difference makers. You always got to have one or two of those guys. That may be a guy that may be, he's that guy that the other team has the game plan for, whether that be on the punt team as a sniper, who I call our gunners, or I call them snipers, or it may be your best player on your kickoff cover unit. It's someone that the other team has to say, hey, if we don't block this guy, or if we don't tackle this guy, if we don't stop this guy, we're going to have a bad day. And then our role players. Our role players are starters that are on one or two phases. I've always been in a situation where our head coach has pretty much given me access to every player on the team. The best players are going to play in these jobs. So it could be, if it's our starting running back is the best player to be a spot on our kickoff team or something like that, that's the guy that's going to do it. And then that may be the only role he plays, but it's that valuable that we're willing to give that guy. So it's a guy that's going to play one or two phases, but he's the best that we have to do whatever jobs that's asked to do. And then our specialists, obviously, the kicker, the punters, long snappers, and then the punt returners and kickoff returners fall in those roles as well. I get 3 seconds football game. We all know this: offense, defense, special teams. Again, 1 out of every 5 plays is a special teams play on average. Sizable amounts of yards are transition there, so 40 yards. So it's a big play, and people tend to forget that. How valuable that is. It's usually involving changing a possession one way, shape, or form, and it can be a direct attempt to score points in every single special teams. They can be at the end of that play, points can be on the board. So it's a huge part of it. And the most important things about the kicking game, the 3 S's: securing the kick, secure field position, and securing the ball. Those are the 3 most important things we always have to do anytime we're on the field. Kind of break our team, break down the field in 3 different components. Call it the fly zone, the combat zone, and the finishing zone. And depending on whatever unit you're talking about, that falls in different areas. So in the kickoff return game, that fly zone is the very beginning of the play. We got that 40 yards of speed and very little contact. Combat zones in the middle, and then the finishing zone is at the end, at the point of contact, where the play is going to happen. And punt return is almost the exact opposite. Combat zones first, fly zones in the middle, and then finishing at the end. So again, here's kind of just a visual illustration of what I'm talking about there. Again, you got great contact there at the beginning of the play on the punt team. That fly zone, getting that 40-yard distance in between the play, that you're trying to maximize speed and get in position into the fly zone where it's a combination of power and speed. And your goal is get him on the ground, get the opponent on the ground, or keep your guy off the ground. And everything I do in the finishing zone and all my drills, I use what I call a 5x5 box at the end of the play, and I literally put corners on the field to emphasize, hey, my job as the coach is to get you guys into that 5x5 box. So as fast as you possibly can, as you can, and with the best tools in order you to execute your job in that 5x5 box. Once you're there, it's on you to get the job done. Kind of again, when I talk about keeping things simple, I kind of use basic cover rules, and these are things that I learned in the NFL from Coach Joe DeCamillis, who's been in special teams in the league for many, many years. Kind of break it down to our guys have very simple rules when we're covering kicks. The first man down, we try to cut off the wide side and collide on both kickoff and punt. I'm trying to be a directional punt team, or a directional kick team, I should say. Put the ball in small areas so our guys can go down there and make plays. So again, cutting off the wide side and colliding and making a tackle, keeping that thing in a small area. The second man down is that stop the ball player. You got to get in front. If we don't make a tackle in the very first guy down and cutting off the wide side, that's stop the ball players to make sure that ball goes laterally and not up the field. And then the third man down, which is everyone else involved, we got to fit where needed. And then that's when we get more into the conventional of your force player and your contained players and things like that. If you have fit where needed, you should always fit in. The one rule I have with that, you should finish on the same side of the ball you started. You never want to cross the field and create vertical seams, and that's how you get gashed on kicking plays. And these rules do not apply to our contained players and fold players. That they're always a contained player or they're always a fold player. I use fold player instead of when I'm talking about safeties. I prefer fold over safeties because safeties have that kind of, it leads more of a passive connotation of, hey, we're going to play slow and be so much down the field. So I use fold players, but it's the same as what most people call safeties. Here's just a visual representation of the punt. So if we're punting to our left here, as you see the first man down there, the left sniper there in purple, we're kicking it to the numbers, and his job is to cut off the wide side and cut off the field there. If he doesn't make the tackle, you see we have our other sniper, our right sniper, he's right in front, stop the ball player. And then everybody else kind of see kind of how they fit. Again, when I talk about heavy defender, your force defender, contained players are left and right shield. And then between our PP, who is a middle shield, he goes directly to the ball. The long snapper, he's kind of a ball player, but he is also can be a contained player, cutting off the side of the field, keeping the ball, staying 7 yards away from the returner, and getting upfield to make sure that returner doesn't get to the other side of the field. And then our punter is the catch-all.
Two quick questions with that,
Yep.
Coach. So is he literally, he's cutting off the field 100%, or is he spilling the ball in the direction that it's going? Like, is he spilling it opposite the direction it's going?
So in this drawing here, so this drawing here, so our first man down, if we're kicking it to the left and that ball, the target line or target point is the numbers are wider, his job is to keep the ball into the sideline. So we telling that guy to take a shot. And with that first man down, if he takes his shot and misses a tackle, I don't count that as a missed tackle for him. I try to take that off of them. I don't want guys breaking their feet down and then allowing that returner to make a move on him. So he's taking a shot, keeping that thing into the short side of the field. Because again, it's much easier to cover from the numbers to the sideline than to try to cover, a half the field or worse off the entire set of the field. So he's trying to keep it in whatever side of the field, the short side of the field that we kick the ball in.
Gotcha. And then my other thing is, are you assigning a guy to that role, or is it literally first guy out?
It's a race. It's the first man down there. It's literally you're the first man down there. You get a chance to take a shot and cut off the wide side. you're a second man, you got to stop the ball, then you fill everywhere else. Now, if we get in a situation where we got two guys kind of at the same time and they don't know, then we can do what I call it, we go X. You just cross the ball, you go to the opposite leg of the returner, and that way we may get two guys shooting at the same time and cutting off the field. And particularly if especially if the ball's in the middle of the field, we get a bad kick and it's kicked in the middle of the field. I tell them, guy, hey, there is no short side of the field. Then you go to the opposite leg of the returner to force him to make a cut one way or the other.
Got you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So again, just other cover terms that I make sure our guys are aware of. We're calling stacking. So again, this term describes what happens once you've beaten you made your release and you gained an advantage on the blocker. So the key thing is you want to put yourself in front of that blocker so all he sees is your back. That does two things. That puts him in a position where he cannot block you legally. So he has to let you go, or he blocks you in the back, and now we get a penalty on them and back them up. Wrap. Coverage term describes it when like you hear all the time about following your own color. You never want to follow your own color. So in situations, again, with the way I teach the rules of the first man down and want guys play with speed, if you're in a situation where you see the guy in front of you, he may cross your face and he's quote unquote in your lane, that's where you wrap, where you're basically going to replace and get in position where he is in order to maintain our lane integrities. Like I said, no, we never want to follow our own color. So if you have one of your teammates cross your face, then you just continue to wrap up behind him and get into the space that he just vacated. That could be because of, he may have a guy on his hip and he's running with speed, or he gets a little widened out or goes inside, and now you're just replacing him. Most wraps happen a lot more on kickoff than they do on punt, but every once in a while it could be on punt. If a guy, we got a really good cover guy and they're doubling him, he may get slowed down. So that tackle may be the guy that gets there first. Now he wraps outside. So now that end knows, the sniper knows, hey, I got to replace his spot. Pick. Again, this could be a situation if they're doubling our sniper on the edge, where that tackle or that guard, as you get into coverage, your guy is not blocking you as you're releasing. You may shoot that outside shoulder, pick a set of picks, so to speak, so your teammate can wrap inside. Again, very seldom on punt that happens naturally. Usually on punt, that's something, maybe a game plan if we see they like to double a certain guy, but that can happen a lot on kickoff coverage. If they're setting double teams, you pick that outside guy, the post player or the pry player, or excuse me, the pin player, to throw off the timing to help your team get out of a double team situation. So good. Go ahead.
Is that something that you drilled in? Because I've certainly had it where I've called a twist, anticipating a guy getting doubled. But how do you drill that? How do you teach them to be able to? I drill it a little bit in basic. If it's I usually, if I see it's going to happen on film a lot, based on in my evaluation of the teams, in my scouting and everything, then I'll teach it in practice. In the NFL, it was kind of our base deal. That was kind of one of the basic things that we did. It was kind of first day install. It was like picks of opportunity and stuff like that. Now the wraps kind of happen naturally. I coach that off of film, but when it comes to picks, that's something, if I see, hey, we may need to do that week, we'll work that in a drill where we'll set up like a double team drill and have two guys adjacent to each other. And as he's running down, he's just going to punch that near hand to the shoulder of that defender, and to get him off base a little bit. It's a real subtle thing. You never want to chase a pick, because now you run yourself out of your lane, but it's a pick of opportunity. If that guy's right there in your way as you're running full speed, you shoot that near arm just to throw him off a step or two, and that's usually enough to throw off the timing of those double teams. I got you. And during the week, it's like, hey, they like to double the three, be alert. You're probably going to have an opportunity to pick. I got you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So things I like to make sure our guys are understanding when we're talking about protection-wise. It's, again, always IDing the rush demeanor of the opponent. So the two pictures here on the bottom left, We call that a rush demeanor. He's in a a sprinter type stance, like he's about to take off and run, weight over the toes. That's a sprinter. That's a rush demeanor. You can come off the ball. You're thinking, hey, we got to absolutely protect first. The bottom right, you can see the two guys inside. They're more square stance, like press corners or whatever. They're not going to rush from that demeanor. They have no chance of blocking a punt. So that's a hold up demeanor or a mug demeanor. Again, we always think protection first, but you want to ID the guy that you're responsible for blocking. And if he gives you a tell based on his stance, that gives you an idea what you're going to do. And now you have some information on how you need to attack it. Me personally, flipping it around as a punt return unit, I either have my guys always be in the rush demeanor because I never want them to tip it off. And ideally, if guys are good enough, again, with the college rule punt and NFL is different, you can get off the ball right now in college. You necessarily can't in the NFL. But if guys are good enough at coming out of 3-point stance and still able to get into a hold up, I'll tell them do that because I always want them to think that we're rushing. And again, it puts that extra pressure on them, but it also allows me to be able to disguise what I want to do when I'm calling a return as well. Kind of just basic things that I use in our punt protection. Again, I'm a shield punt on the college level, and I have a lead step, bucket step approach to it. I'll kind of go through these coaching points on it. Got a quick videos to show the drills. For our lead step, it's a section step inside or outside, depending on where your assignment is. And you make that determination if you're going to use this is if he's the defender is within the framework of your body. So any part of his body is covering your body, you'll use your lead step. You will block through that inside number. And the key thing is I use the term destroy the charge. We're not trying to hold him and block him like you would in a pass set or in a pro style kick slide, but you're just really punching through him as you're getting into coverage. And as you destroy the charge and go. The bucket step, that's when that the defender you're trying to block is outside of your framework of your body or in a wide alignment. So now you want to get in position where you're going to have to take a 45-degree drop step inside or outside, depending on where he is. And then from there, you're still going to exercise blocking through that inside number and again, destroying the charge and go. Here's a kind of a drill that I use to work the shield punt. So how this is set up, we take the snapper simulator right here on the 30-yard line. And I always do this the first practice I do punt to get the guys used to the splits. So they have a good representation of how the splits are. So on my punt, I have 2 yards, 2 yards, 3 yards. So I get the long snappers right on the line, and I set up the next man 2 yards away, 2 yards away, 3 yards. So now they get a real feel for what that feels like going across the field with their splits. And now we can work it independently. We can go right side, left side independently, or we do it all together. And now we just give them alignment. We got guys in front of them with the holding the bags, and now you can see the steps that they're taking. They take a quick again, these within the framework of the body there. So they're just going to take that lead step, quick drop step, punch through, and you see they keep running their feet trying to get out in coverage, shed the blocking, go. And all it is an assembly line deal. First guys go, they run through, they release, next guys step up and do the exact same drill. And you can get a lot of reps doing this, get everybody, again, what I talk about the fundamentals, getting everybody locked in to working their fundamentals. And so no matter what happens, where it could be an injury or whatever, you have a guy, everyone's got the reps and know how to execute those assignments. And there's also evaluation tool to see how good guys are at executing the techniques that you need them to execute. Oops. So this next one here is the bucket step. So it's the same drill. Now all we do, we're going to take and just widen out the defenders there. So now you see where 43 is. He's outside the framework of the body of the guy he's blocking. Everybody gets wider. So now you have to take your bucket step. So now you got to take that deeper 45-degree step because now when he's rushing, he's going to be, if you try to take a lead step, you're not going to get there in time because that bucket step allows you to go to where he's going to be, not to where he is. So that's the purpose of the bucket step, and then everything else is the same. Wider step, you punch and go, and now releasing the coverage. Real simple drill, and you can get a lot of reps doing this, teaching the shield concept. Now this is the drill for our shield. So again, we have the long snapper in place, and then 2 guards, and then we have the trash can simulating the rest of the blocking scheme. The way I teach my shield is, no matter if I'm going right or left, the core, which is the guys on the line, I call them the core. The front side to the kicks to the call side, they block 1, 2, and 3, always block counting from outside in, and the shields are responsible for the 4, 5s, and 5s. So one, you got to have a smart guy back there that understands the blocking, the counting concepts to make sure we're blocking the right deal. So now this is just working those guys to get the proper understanding the count and knowing who have to block. So now, oops, sorry about that. He makes his call. They get in position. So now that's 4, 5, and 5. He slides into there. The shield is about 7.5 yards back. You got to have guys that are willing to get in there tight and to be able to deliver a blow. They're responsible for 4, 5, and 5, but also they're also not just a man responsibility. They have these 3 guys, 4, 5, and 5, but it's still a zone concept for them because these guys can twist, which is what I like to do a lot around the shield. And so now if you get locked onto a guy, that's how you create seams, and that's how you can ruin the integrity of your shield and allow guys to seep through. So yes, they have 4, 5, and 5 man to man, so to speak, but it's all 3 of them. They have all 3 of them together at the same time. Another rep of this, kind of same concept, come from another direction, delivering a blow. And on the backside of that, you see the force 86 came off the edge there. He's kind of, he'll get picked up by the punter just by the operation time of getting off. We don't block the backside one. So again, gun basic, basic fundamentals of what I do. I try to work a lot of tackling as well. Again, it allows me to get our offensive guys who don't get to tackle much to get reps at it because they'll be in these units as well. And also, it just that's just extra reps of getting guys of teaching tackling. Again,
Coach, one quick question.
Yep.
In terms of the shield stuff, to just go back to it. How physical do you get with those guys over the course of preseason? I know it's a little bit off topic here. That's just something I've always struggled with, is making sure you aren't killing those guys, but getting them physically ready for what'll happen game one. Like, what's kind of your philosophy and approach to that?
Yeah, I don't have them do a lot of keeping guys just really going full speed on them throughout the season and preseason. You're going to get your full pad practices days where they're going to come at a pretty good clip, and we go full go. They're going to come hard and so we can work on our techniques. But during the week, and especially leading up to game week, I tell those guys who's rushing, yeah, you get up there and you rush hard, but when you get to the shield, lead with your hands a little bit. That way, again, to not those guys to get pounded on and you unnecessarily lose a guy in practice. So you always got to be smart with it. But if we have a live practice day or we're in full pads, yeah, I tell, hey, come with good force, lead with shoulders, and I make sure our guys do it the right way. So no one's diving, no one's lunging. And again, it's always about protecting your teammates. So we make sure we get the right reps and the guys come with the right amount of force that we need to get to the proper.
So it's more a couple of scout periods during the course of preseason on live practice days. Really
yes. Yeah, and if we're in full pads, they're going to, hey, all right, you guys got to come in the shield pretty hard, but obviously, these are still your teammates. So it's just like any other period when you're going, full, you're going to scrimmage with O&D. Yeah, you want to tackle and all that, but you're not going to do anything crazy or try to hurt your teammates or go overboard of being overly physical, like you would do on an opponent, so to speak.
I got you. Thank you, Coach.
Yep. Again, talking about tackle, kind of basic things that we all know about. Talking long stride, short stride. That you're running. In a punt situation, you're flying down the field, and as you're starting to get in those positions to set yourself up, getting right body position for tackling, you want to shorten your stride. Near foot, near shoulder. Keeping your eyes below your opponent's eyes, and when I talk about clamp, that's when you're actually wrapping up your ball carrier. And I like the violent visual terms. And when you think of clamp, you're thinking something powerful, you think something strong, and always accelerating your feet on contact. And I like to use the term finishing in dominant position. You get the guy to the ground. When you get up holding a leg. You get up holding an arm, something like that. That also helps when you do that. When you see guys, they wrap and roll, and the guy stays on, and next thing you know, none of his body hit the ground, and now he's off and running. That dominant position, just you come up holding a body part, the rest of his body's on the ground. Different types of tackling. We talk about population, trunk, profile, and disadvantage, and kind of show what these means. Again, population, you want to have multiple bodies at the ball. So, like guys, we want 5-6 guys to run the ball, and by the time that guy gets up off the ground, he needs to see 20 to 22 eyes looking at him at all times. Again, we're outnumbering our opponent, and again, it's obviously the more bodies have on the ball, the more likely you get them to the ground. But also it's that intimidating factor of seeing that ball carrier gets up and he sees all these dudes looking at him. Trunk to trunk, you're going to have that's that square contact. Your trunk, which is your chest on his chest, the stop the ball player, that's kind of the tackle he usually makes in that situation, or fold player on kickoff when he's filling that gap. When the two makes a contain, you usually make that trunk to trunk tackle. So again, these are nothing mind-boggling. No, these are drills we did with the Broncos. Again, we've all done these drills. Key thing is see guys staying square, square clamping, and then running their feet on contact. See all these guys, they're running their feet on contact to continue to get down the field and stop the forward progression of the ball carriers. Profile tackle, contact from the side. This is a tackle you happen most of the time on special teams, and particularly for the cut off the wide side and collide player. And it talk about the gator roll. That's at times, you make that tackle in space and you may roll just to, if you don't get him completely clean, you clutter his feet up and now you can get him to the ground. So again, basic drill here. Again, near leg, near shoulder. And the key thing is at the end, you see all these guys, when they make contact, they close the front door. They close the door. They take that front shoulder and get it parallel to the line of scrimmage to help stop that forward progression of the ball carrier. Again, clamping, running, all these guys are running their feet on contact. No one feet dies. They accelerate their speed on contact. Just because you got more weight coming at you, you have to speed your feet on contact in order to keep that momentum going. Disadvantage, contact from behind the ball carrier. It could be a desperation situation. It could be the two on the backside of a kickoff return. The return's going away from him, and he's trimming the fat on the backside. He's trying to get in position to make a shoestring tackle, click the heels, a lot of different things just to get the guy to the ground. So again, this is a drill, kind of teach that gator roll, violently slapping at that ankle, at the legs, to get him on the ground. Kind of the key thing, you want to swing violently, and ideally, if you can swing to where you end up on your back, that means you see like a great violence there by Ronnie Hillman there. The more violent you can be to swing that to get those guys on the ground. And kind of that's really kind of the basis of it. And this is again, it's all about mindset and the things that you want to get your guys to understand. And I use this quote all the time: is understand, what your role is on the team, because it's the most important role on the team, and that's because it's your role. And so everyone gets caught up in, this guy does this guy does this. But if everyone can understand that, hey, this is what I'm being asked to do, and this is the most important thing that this team needs me to do, or that has to get done, because I'm the one that has to do it. And if everyone takes that type of mindset, you have a great special teams unit. You have great unit on offense and defense, because everyone's role is going to be slightly different. But if everyone values it like it's the most important thing for your team's success, you'll be a pretty good football team, pretty damn good football team up and down the roster.